Please remember to like, subscribe, and never forget to ring that bell.
What is up, everybody? I am Chris Knight. This is the Real Review 3000s, the gospel according to Chris. And yes, we got him. We pulled him out of his dungeon where he writes and toils all day long. It is Stephen Walton. How are you doing, Stephen? How you doing?
I am doing well, Chris. Hail the chat. Thank you guys so much for being here. Please share out the link, smash that like button if you have not subscribed to the Real Review 3000, who has been on the front lines of this culture war for 3 years, was here when I started. This man right here is much of a fighter in what we're doing as I am. Please put your hands together for the Real Review 3000.
I would say yes to all of that stuff. Well, man, you just took everything I could say out of it, but let's talk about you. That's what this is about. First off, I want you to tell people about your channel, what you're up to. Tell them about that book you're writing, and then we'll get right into some questioning about who you are, what you're doing, and all that great stuff. So go ahead and tell them about your channel, please.
Right. I am author Stephen Walton, the Fandom Menace historian, your historian, born in the chats of the High Council with my brothers and sisters, fighting for our modern mythologies. I started this journey about 3 years ago, was inspired by several YouTubers who were speaking up against the use of our entertainments as platforms to espouse division and propaganda, to segregate us, to separate us, to create the illusion that we are more different than we are alike, to put us in small little check boxes, our own little corners, and then divide those check boxes up to create false division so that we do not stand up and look at the real people who are making the problems, the ones who pull the strings in politics, who pull the strings in entertainments, those people that want to see us, we the people, divided globally, all across the world. Been happy to be a part of this grassroots movement that started taking place 3 years ago, that is international, that crosses all boundaries. Doesn't matter who you sleep with, doesn't matter who you love, doesn't matter how you vote. What matters is that we stand up against totalitarians who are seeking to divide us. And in my little segment of the culture war, defending our modern mythology, something that brought us together, something we used to come together around a water cooler and talk about. Didn't matter what color you are, didn't matter what your position was. We could all get together and talk about Star Wars or Star Trek, Doctor Who, Babylon 5, or any of the wonderful franchises that have been placed out there for us to enjoy, to come together, to escape from, to escape the real world from. That is why I am writing this book, The Fandom Menace Volume 2. Volume 2 takes place between the years of 2018 and 2019 about this grassroots movement with people like the Real Review 3000, people that rose up together to stand together against the totalitarian left, against anyone, don't matter if you're right or left, anyone who seeks to divide us along trivial lines and keep us separated so that we do not call out the troublemakers at the top. On my channel, author Stephen Walton, you will find a lot of different commentary. I just started another channel, Lowdown's Dragon Storm. That's for my tarot card readings. I'm a bit of a spiritualist. I'm a Wiccan. So that my content for that is shifting over there. On author Stephen Walton, you will find Rogue Entertainment. Rogue Entertainment is a collection of people who do not kneel, some of which have been ostracized because the very thing that we have been fighting, the industry, the whisper networks, destroying people's reputations in order to grow themselves, has indeed infected our own indie sphere. And we must stand against that. We must not become what we have stood up to fight against. Rogue Entertainment is an outpost. It is a lighthouse of people who do not kneel, who do not engage in destroying others because they think differently, or in to destroy them so that we can grow from another's destruction. That's what the industry does. We don't do that. We stand and we rise together. That's about it.
How about that? Well, I am so happy to have you on here. We don't talk as much as we should. We're doing. I mean, you're busy. I know you're absolutely busy. You got the channel. You got Rogue Entertainment. You got all that stuff. You're writing this book. So I'm just elated that you're here. I'm going to be over on your stuff on Rogue Entertainment this coming up Saturday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern.
It's been too long, Chris. It's been too long since we had you over there, man.
And I'll be looking forward to that. I know you guys got a lot of people come over there. You do a lot of stuff over there, so I'm looking forward to that. Real quick, saying hi to the chat. We got Runner Blaze, we got Parrot Head, we've got the Basco Scenario, Dandelion Fluff, LDG. Who else? You don't count, Steven. Lasso of Truth and Captain Cockney Spock. Guys, if you're watching this right now, make sure you go over to my not my pen tweet. It's the tweet underneath my pen tweet. Make sure that you share out this tweet on Twitter, and then it's also in chats that you might share with Steven here. And and I've tagged a bunch of people in it. So guys, do that so we can get some more people in here. But let's get to some questioning right now. So I know that you got the first volume of the Fandom Menace volumes out. It's been about 2 years, I think.
It's been about 2 years, way too long.
Yeah, but you started doing this, and I know before that it had been about a year when you started writing it. What exactly was it that you saw in the industry and what you saw out there? Because I know a lot of people, and I know you've heard it, I know I've heard it. Everyone wants to point to The Last Jedi and say, oh, that's all you guys are about. That's all this is about. It's not about, it's not about anything but The Last Jedi. It's only Star Wars. And you see still, there's some videos up there that people still have, that the Fandom Menace and all of that is still, it's just Star Wars. And it was designed to break up the Star Wars fandom, and it's like, okay, I know that it's not the way it is. I know you know that's but what was it that you saw that made you say, you know what, I need to write about this?
I honestly, my son, being a father, watching him going to school and hearing the things he was hearing, not being able to understand why the educational system had changed the way that it had. I mean, not only had educational standards dropped, but they began teaching things that were not true, that were fantasy. And then I love Star Trek. I love Star Trek a little more than I love Star Wars. And I've never been shy about saying that. I wanted to share something with my kid, and Star Wars was a thing that we kind of bonded on. We watched the Clone Wars together. We played Star Wars Legos, on our Xbox. He liked Kylo Ren. He got into the Force Awakens. He really got into the storyline. So honestly, for all of my objections to the things that happened in the Force Awakens, I maintained. I stayed with it. I was like, all right, they're going to fix it in the next one. I got to trust they're going to fix it in 8. Me and my son were watching all these videos from different people all over the YouTube sphere. I wasn't a YouTuber then. It was like my first really care about. This is the first time I ever cared about YouTube, was that year leading up to The Last Jedi. My son and I would watch fan theory videos. All right, Snoke's going to end up being Palpatine's master. He's going to, there was a lot of things we were looking forward to seeing. And then my son, we went to go see The Last Jedi, and we were out in the car before the show started. We were watching, funny videos and listening to Weird Al's Yoda, and, the saga continues, and we were having a great time. And then we got in there and sat down, and half the movie, I was like, what the is this? We're not going to get one flashback with the original 3. Like, we're not going to get anything that fixed the first one. And that confused me. The first YouTuber that I came across to talk about it was Jeremy Griggs of Geeks and Gamers, as well, before he was monetized. And that and his, all right, it's time to admit the truth about The Last Jedi. That led me to watching people like World Class Bullshitters, Nerdrotic, Doomcock. I mean, all these people before they were monetized. You know, like I remember these channels coming up, and
that's the thing right there. It's like I tell people I remember when Drunk 3PO had like 400 subscribers.
I remember when he started.
It's like, and everybody's like, "What?" I said, oh, "Yeah, I had him." I said, "I had him on my first live stream ever. I had Drunk 3PO," and now it's like people are like, "Oh my god, that's crazy." I'm like,
"It is. Well, it is." To see, you know, Chris, we've been around since we're like second wave, man. We've been around since
I mean, we're right behind that first wave. It's like they're the ones that brought us in on this.
And then, well, I mean, it was people that brought us together, like Mary Mayhem. She brought us together. That KOTOR chat. I'm writing about that in the Fandom Menace Volume 2. It's a very important part of our history. You know, I saw those things, and well, right before The Last Jedi hit, you know, the Star Trek Discovery. I watched Star Trek Discovery. I love the Klingons, and I was like, what did they just do to my Klingons? Why is that ship covered in coffins? They don't give a damn about the dead. You know what I mean? They give the dead one night, and that's it. You know, and if they're on the battlefield, they just reject the body. You know, off to heaven, and that's that. You know, it got, once I began to really immerse myself back into politics, because I had rejected politics. I voted for Obama. I was really upset at the end of Obama's term, when this guy who was supposed to bring change was having racist hate groups in the White House, like BLM. And they were, you know, allowing the U.S. Marshals to water cannon natives who were trying to save their water sources. You know, I'm like, what is going on? You know, it really put me off. You know, and I'm a liberal. I'm a Northeast liberal. I enjoyed the 2016 election for what it was. I enjoyed the banter. I enjoyed all, you know, it was, but when it was over, it was over. You know, I voted for Clinton. It was over. It was over. It wasn't until 2018 that I really began to understand, hear voices from different people. You know, I grew up in the Northeast, so I never really talked to Christians or conservatives. You know, traditionally, they're my enemy. They want me burned at the stake because I pray different than they do. Like, that was always my mentality. And now I'm getting to know these people. I'm getting to know Josiah Rises. I'm getting to know Odin's movie blog. I'm getting to know people that are different than me, Supreme Heretic. You know, and it really opened my eyes to just how similar we are in as far as our fight for individuality, to be ourselves, to love who we want to love, be who we want to be, pray how we want to pray, and respect the rights of others. I saw people like Kathleen Kennedy, Pablo Hidalgo, you know, all the people at Disney, Lucasfilm, the people working under Kurtzman Trek. I saw all these people trying to divide us and separate us along these trivial lines. And I'm like, wait a minute, these aren't liberals, because I'm a liberal. What are they doing? And then, you know, you turn around, and then this backlash that came up against the Fandom Menace when they first came up. They're all racist, sexist, terrible, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I've heard this before. Where did I hear this? Gamergate. I heard this before in Gamergate. I heard this before in Comicsgate, early Comicsgate, you know. And I'm meeting people like Chris, who liked The Last Jedi. We're having full-on conversations, respecting one another, having those conversations, wait a minute, hold on. So if we're all awful people that are static in our view, then how come we're having these mind-opening, mind-blowing conversations between different people who come from different walks of life? Internationally, too. I met great people from all across the world. You know, it was an incredible grassroots backlash that for a moment shook the entertainment world. J.J. Abrams wouldn't have been on interview saying, what you know, well, the Fandom Menace. He wouldn't have been mentioning our name if we did not shake the world. It really has expanded much more than that, and the evolution of it has moved into something I'm not really going to talk about. I talked about it in Volume 1. The Volume 1 is a preface to this story. Volume 2 is going to be what happened 2018, 2019. And as far as people who are detractors who never got involved, well, I mean, they're just living off hate clicks. Something that, unfortunately, some of us have moved on to doing. And it is... I want to keep the book in a positive space, because it was a great thing what we did, those of us that came up together, to inspire me to put together a group, the Fourth Wave. The Fourth Wave, who immediately came under attack by, like, you know, Den of Nerds, who put that whole little Gray Order shit together because he couldn't come up. He couldn't come at me straight up. He had to bring he had to put the Gray Order together to come after my team. Because there's some kind of idea that we were being supported by Geeks and Gamers or some other. We were never supported by those groups. We were just friends with them. You know, and those narratives have to be pressed. They're only about Star Wars. Well, yeah, you know what, the focal point of it was Star Wars. That was the thing that broke the fandom's back. But it was also about all these other franchises that were blatantly in the open, statements being made. We are using these things as platforms to create division. Well, that's not the way they put it. They say diversion, inclusivity, but they don't mean that. Extremists don't mean what they say. Liars don't mean what they say. Manipulators, narcissists, they project their own ists and isms upon others and try to destroy their credibility so that they can look virtuous and rise. Something that has happened here, So
I think you can look directly at what Star Trek has done and what Doctor Who has done, and I mean, like, that's what I always try to do. Is when people say, "Oh, it's just about Star Wars," I says, "No." I mean, listen, I know people who love, my kid included. My kid loves Doctor Who, and it's not about Jodie Whittaker being a woman. It has nothing to do with it. It's about the fact that they fundamentally changed the idea behind Doctor Who. Doctor Who and Star Trek, before the people who are behind it now said, "Oh, we're going to get inclusive. We're going to make this inclusive." It's like, wait, why do you have to do inclusivity when it's already inclusive? It's like, just because you don't see black and white, it's because they're not all human. Mm-hmm. The diversity that they put into those was alien races. I mean, and listen, Star Trek originally, they made sure they had, diversity within the original crew. I mean, Nichelle Nichols, when she was put in it, people were like, "Oh my God, you're giving like a lead, not lead, but a major role to a minority. What's going on here?" And then you had somebody who spoke, and I'm trying to remember if the guy who played Chekhov was actually Russian. I believe he was.
Walter Koring?
Huh?
No, I don't believe Walter Koring was.
I don't know, and I don't remember, but I just know that the way they did it was already inclusive, and it wasn't needed. It just happened,
right?
And it goes back to like that George Lucas thought process. If you just throw it out there, either people are on board or they're not. You either understand it or you don't. If you don't, okay, I'm sorry, you didn't get what we were doing. Move on to what you find that you like, but don't take something like Star Trek and Doctor Who and purposely tear it apart just because you want to say, "Look, we're doing it here," and use it as a platform to say, "Look what we're doing, look what we're doing, look what we're doing." Oh, yeah. No, because that wasn't needed beforehand. People just knew that they were doing it without it ever being said.
Well, I can't speak to Doctor Who. I'm not a Whovian, but I feel bad. I understand the Who fandom is going through the same thing, and I've seen it from the outside looking in. People like Roddenberry, they were progressive. Roddenberry wasn't progressive. That was a progressive show. First black kiss on screen. They were fighting, keeping that show alive for years because they were presenting those ideas of a humanity that is based, where you are based on the merit of your character, not what checkbox you fit. Star Wars was just a great fantasy story for everybody. It really didn't engage any of those real world topics. It is the people, it is the repurposers and creative control who decided to do that because of their own ists and isms. It's a projection. It's a narcissist projection, looking at other people and through your own lens. They see white, they see straight, they see man bad. They don't really look at what's underneath. These are surface level people, no depth, shallow. Mm-hmm. That are also, and some of them are good, are great thinkers, to be honest, and they are disingenuously using this as a vehicle to promote themselves. Like I said, destroying other people's reputations, attacking others, creating hate in order to muster energy to propel your own career, your own brand, your own name. And those, they're even worse. Like, they're even worse than the blue-haired weirdos, because they know they're doing wrong and they don't care. That mentality, but the thing is that we've seen in the last several years that mentality works. With the level of forced indoctrination that takes place on the educational level, academically, in our colleges, in local papers, in big news organizations, and I mean, to a degree, these things have always been used to patriotize or to condition or to enforce a narrative, upon people, or impress a narrative upon people. But now it is blatantly being used as a sledgehammer to destroy anyone and their credibility, where they stand, to present false narratives. If you take that stand against this far left totalitarian narrative, I was really hoping, brother. Well, I was really hoping, man, that in the 2000s, when we saw the pendulum swing back from the conservative power into a more of a neutral state, this is even during the Bush administration, we saw gay marriage legalized. We saw a lot of progressive things take place under while the Patriot Act was in place, of all things, which took more power from us as people. Socially, we saw a lot of true social justice take place in the 90s and the 2000s. And then when people started getting calm and talking to one another, and we started bridging those gaps, what did they do? Well, they created the bathroom debate, because you can't go. The Christian conservatives have been quiet for too long. We need to piss them off. Let's have a bathroom debate. Let's use 1% of our society who is dealing with an affliction that has one of the highest suicide rates in the world, at least in our country. Let's use them as a cudgel to beat other people down. Oh yeah, and we'll say we're helping them at the same time, by putting them in the limelight. And not only do they do that, but they try to reinforce this by continually attempting to condition our young people in public schools. We got a generation of really confused kids coming up right now. This is a lot more to me. Fandom Menace, making these books, being a part of this grassroots backlash is a lot more. It's not just Star Wars. That's where it started. It is about fighting for the soul and the fabric of our country, while fighting for our ability to be parents, to have our own culture passed down onto our kids, our values, and let them make their decisions. And I don't care what your values are, to be honest. You should have the ability to impress upon your children your family culture, your family values, without being circumvented by public education, by entertainments, by cartoons that are aimed at little kids, talking about where daddy puts his F stick and his other daddy's bum. You know what I mean? It's the sickness. One of the things that real quick though, one of the things that Rogue stands up for, all of us, is protecting our children. We need to, that is that's where I started. That's where I'm at. That's always where I've been at, really, is protecting our kids, their ability to be kids, to grow up. Before being told that, hey, it's perfectly fine if you're 6 and you think you want to whack your wiener off and get injections before you even hit puberty. God, do you guys remember what puberty was like? That's confusing enough.
I don't think that schools and society necessarily should get involved with the child's
no. That's
anything
not
during puberty.
Their purview.
And I'm not saying that I'm against necessarily the LGBTQ community and their idea that everybody should be who they want to be. If they feel like if you're a guy and you feel like you're more female,
right, that's
fine. But I don't think anything should be put out there to pressure them into thinking that, okay, maybe I'm not who I think I am. And that's what I think is the problem.
That's absolutely the problem. Look, I ain't got no problem with any of those people either. I've spent time. I've talked to non-binary, gender fluid people. I've talked to transgender people. I've taken that time. I'm a liberal. That's what I do. And I have had conversations where they're like, nah, I don't know what this woke bullshit is, but that's not what I am. Any person, I don't care who you are, what your condition is, what you think of yourself, what you feel like you're moving through, however you need to live your life to be happy, please do it. But if you think that conditioning young people is a way to make yourself feel better, you're a freaking pedo. There's an answer for that. There's a good answer for that. And I don't care. That is not fighting for any kind of virtuous reason. And this is all interconnected in this spider web of bullshit and lies that we've gotten. I mean, like I said, my front, I try and stay centered on entertainments. That's where I try to stay. But it's hard not to go into politics because of the heavy influence between politics and our entertainments at this time. At one time, you can't deny it. Like I'm telling you, I voted Democrat my whole life, with the exception of the last election. I voted for Trump. And I'll tell you this. The Democratic, the propaganda, the paramilitary wing of the Democratic Party leading up into the 60s was the KKK, for they abandoned them. And now it is our entertainments, a whole more powerful group of bigots who can impress what their beliefs are upon you, not just you, but your kids. And if you have anything to say about it, if you want to protect your children, have anything to say about it, then they're going to call you a bigot. They're gonna call Eric July a white man, white supremacist. They're gonna do anything that they can do, any bullshit narrative that they can do to change anyone's perspective. We need to be here, all of us in the chat, Chris, all of us that are still in this culture war for the right reasons. We really need to keep speaking our voices and keep getting louder, because the normies out there, they don't understand. I've had conversations with people who are like, well, I feel like if I have a problem with this character in this new Trek, that there's something wrong with me. I'm a bigot. Like, no, that's not Star Trek. And let me tell you why that character's there. And it's not to represent the non-binary community, gender fluid or whatever. It's not there to represent them. It is there to create an impression of those people, to misrepresent them, to create another division between us so that there is less understanding between our groups. We don't all have to agree, but we should all stand up together against misinformation, fight propaganda, and most of all, stand up for our modern myths. And you know what? And I'm talking about the past modern myths. The industry today is garbage, with few exception, garbage. Support your independent creators out there, whether they're making movies, comics, novels, whether they got YouTube channels. Support your indie creators. That is the next thing. Those of us who have been forged by the fire of fighting in this culture war, we are creating these things with some exceptions, because there's people out there in the indie sphere that are just like the industry. Whisper networks destroying your reputation, coming at you just like the industry.
Go ahead. Finish.
We need to. Those of us of full heart who really want to see us unified, our rights respected, our individuality respected. We need to make our voices louder. We need to keep being louder, keep standing up, keep refusing to kneel. If a snake comes along with a handshake to you and says, "Hey, you know what? If you deal with me, knowing that I stab all these people, I'll give you a boost." You're validating them. Industry.
I have always looked at it as one of the biggest problems I have is like, and I know it was kitschy. It was kind of the thing back when we were younger. The MTV voting. They had the musicians.
Yeah.
Vote. I'm like, why am I listening to somebody that all I care about them is, are you making good music? Do I like it? It's like I tell people, I think that what Kevin Spacey's been accused of doing and some of that stuff, I think it's horrible. But you know what? I love Kevin Spacey as an actor. I love every damn movie I've seen, but I'm not listening to him tell me how to vote. I'm not listening to him tell me what to believe in. That's the problem. Is too many people these days, and not to deter people from watching YouTube or watch your channel or my channel, but YouTube is a big problem because people go to these channels that are politically biased either way, and then they're like, "Oh, I like that thought, and I'm just going to go with that because that they told me this." And I'm like, I don't care what your view is. I don't care who you want to vote for. I want you to go and read things yourself. I want you to go explore what these people are saying. Is it real? Is it not? And that's the thing. I think too many people these days just want to be told what to do. And I think you use it. I use it sometimes. Sheeple. It's people who don't want. It's like, oh, look, that's I'm supposed to. You're saying I'm supposed to go this way. Okay, I'll go that way.
There's something to be said for sitting back and listening to entertainments and just escapism. A lot of us YouTubers now, we're
escapism is different than taking it and thinking that's what I should do.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Now, thinking for yourself. Some of us have very complex, very, very busy lives, and we only have so much time to get caught up on information, to get caught up on news. That's why, that's why I fight against CNN or any of them news organizations. All of them, Fox, all of them. They all press a narrative, and you understand that going in, that you're going to get narrative and news or opinion mixed with news. Just understand that going in, but read for yourself. Use your critical thinking skills. Come on, Gen X. Come on, y'all early millennials. You know what I'm talking about. We need to use those critical thinking skills. Understand that everybody's telling you a different story, and then come up with with what you believe the truth is. I'm a reincarnationist, so I believe that we're all put here in each lifetime to learn certain lessons. And sometimes our lesson isn't being spiritual. Sometimes it isn't being political. Sometimes our lesson is charity. Sometimes our lesson is giving, or sometimes it's going to school or learning about ourselves, inner enlightenment, inner knowledge. So there are people, normies, if you will, that do not get all of the information or cannot get all of the information available to them. I have no problem. Look, you go to a YouTuber who occasionally it says, "Think for yourself." Watch that channel. If you were looking for somewhere to get your information from, understand everyone's got a bias going in. Every single one of us. Not one of us is immune from that. We all have our biases. But if you listen to somebody who at least occasionally says, "Think for yourself. Take this information and think for yourself," that's a channel you want to trust.
That's the thing. And I know and again, I'm not calling anybody out, because all the people that we deal with in the Fandom Menace and other groups, whatever you want to say,
We're all different. We all respect each
there
other.
there are some people out there who have gone to a particular direction with their videos, and I'm not going to name names, but I still like those people because, but I think for the most part, most of us do say, hey, I'm going to give you the information, go trace it down yourself. I'll tell you where I got mine. You can go from there, and you can then branch off and find another site that disputes it or doesn't dispute it or confirms it.
Yeah.
On Chaos Central, one of the first things I always say is you don't have to like our opinion because it's not yours. You don't have to listen. You don't have to. We're not right. We're just giving you what we think. You can have your own opinion. Just be respectful when you're against us. And I think that was the biggest thing that people accused the Fandom Menace of was, oh, you don't respect anybody else. You're toxic and all that stuff. But I'm like, wait a minute. I saw some of the tweets that people like Mary and other people were getting about The Last Jedi and other things. It's like, wait, you guys are saying be respectful, but you're not being respectful. One of the reasons why Mary Mayhem brought me in this was because I was respectful with her talking about The Last Jedi. I wasn't talking to her like crap. And that's the thing. It's like, do what you say, not what you're doing. You have to, if you say, this is my opinion, and you can have your opinion, even if it's against my opinion, just be respectful. If you're not respectful to people after you've said that, then you're two-faced. And I don't believe in that. I think anybody who's with me on these streams, anybody who watches my stuff, anybody who sees that, knows I'm the same way on here, right now, as I am when I'm not on there.
Yes,
and that's the thing. You have to be like that. And I think that's the important thing. It's just...
Well, there's something to be said for character. For instance, when I stream, sometimes I am I'm accentuating parts of my ego that I normally don't. There's got to have a bit of a flair.
We are, and I think I say it all the time. CNN, Fox News, MSNBC. What's funny is when you see them talk about when they do their commercials, they say, "Come and see your favorite, CNN." Personalities. That's what we are. We are personalities. Right. But your personality should be an exaggeration of who you really are.
Absolutely.
Not who you are. Like I said, we all trump up certain parts of who we are just because it's a personality.
Absolutely.
But at the core of that, your values should still stand the same.
Yeah. Unless you're specifically playing a character, unless you have a channel where you are a character.
Well, yeah, and if there are those.
And if your personality is someone that's like, "Hi, I like you, and we're cool, and this and that," and then you sneak off to a chat group somewhere and defame the ever living crap out of somebody, you are garbage. And if you co-sign to those groups, you are garbage too. And we know who a lot of you are. We just don't say it because we don't feel like getting in the mire of your garbage. But know that Rogue don't stand for that. And if you come after us again, well, we're going to call you out. None of us care. We're going to call you out. We know who you are. So
yes.
just stay in your chat groups. Talk shit. We do not need them. I believe that if you engage in any kind of disparaging thing, if you where you are breaking down someone's character or attacking their channel or attacking them, you are just as bad as the industry. That's what we were fighting against. We were fighting against those people. Why are you shaking hands with somebody who's destroying others and you know it? Why are you shaking hands with somebody who's supposed to be promoting indie comics, but they're destroying other people's reputations behind the scenes, trying to destroy campaigns when you ain't even delivered in years? Why is this happening around us? How did this happen? That is the price of freedom and individuality, Chris. That's something that we fought for. We fought for the right to be who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the price of freedom. This is why Volume 2 stays in 2018 and 2019. Because if I went into 2020 and further, then I'd have to call some people out. The initial TFM movement was a beautiful thing. It crossed all kinds of bridges. It crossed all types of people, all types of content. It helped promote. It created entire fandoms, cults of personality. And it was a beautiful thing, fighting against the totalitarian left. At some point, it took an off-ramp.
Yeah, so early on in this, I had I didn't actually have the tiff. It was kind of funny. I had a thing where I talked out about Infamous, talking about my friend Sean Stackhouse.
Don't get
Because
reference.
they called him a Nazi, and I'm like, why do we throw that term around like it's just nothing?
Right.
I'm like, my grandfather was in World War II, helped liberate a couple concentration camps, and he showed me pictures of the bodies and things like that because he wanted me to know that the Holocaust happened. And he said, don't let people tell you this didn't happen. This was real. This really happened. And he showed me pictures. And he told me about it. And then I thought, I mean, these Nazi, why are we using the word Nazi? And it was kind of a lighthearted thing. And then I got so many things in the comments, and it was still about Sean. And I went in there and says, guys, I'm the one that made the video, not him. And so finally I reached out and I put out a video saying, hey, we're Infamous. Come on over on my channel. I'll turn off the comments. You and me, one-on-one, let's discuss this. They won't do that. Like, listen, I will protect you,
and you would be the person to talk to, Chris. Right? You would be you would be that neutral.
Well, that's
party.
what I think. I think that, but I get labeled. Oh, you're Fandom Menace. Da, 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 da. I'm like, so many people do that. What I love is getting tagged in tweets and stuff where people start railing on about the Fandom Menace or this or that, and then people will be like, "At Chris Knight, how do you think? How do you think about this, or what do you think about this?" Because it's like about the Last Jedi, and I'm like, well, I like the Last Jedi, and da 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 da, and then people are like. Comments goes just quiet. It's like,
yeah, because they go the only point you destroy the narrative.
Well, that's the thing. It's like these people would help themselves so much if they just come on. Like I said, I would protect anybody that came on here that felt completely opposite of me by turning off the chat so people didn't rail on them and stuff. I would do whatever they needed if they just wanted to come on here and have a one-on-one conversation to make them feel safe. I'm okay with that, but they won't even do that. They think I'm there to trap them into something. I'm like, that's not what I want to do. I want to give you some sort of a platform as long as you're willing to discuss it intellectually, for lack of a better term. It's like, just come on, and if I ask a question that's against what you believe, I'm asking because I want you to tell me why you think that way, not because I'm trying to trap you or anything. But they don't see it like that. They just want to say,
some don't.
Oh, no.
Some do. West Moody Webcast, Chris. West Moody Webcast had a far lefty on once, and she don't agree with what she said. Also agreed with some of what she said. Because we're basis on the basis and left.
But people have to listen. If we're willing to be respectful to them, then they have to take a chance and understand, okay, they say they're going to respect us, they say they're going to be nice to us, then why don't they come on and actually, that's the only way you fill this divide. Yes. Are there still going to be people on wide, far margins left and right? Yes, there will always be those people. But the only way that pendulum swings within a decent amount is when we talk and when we sit down and we discuss things together. Yes. We're not always going to see eye to eye because we do that. But if we come at it at a respectful place, and that what I think is what I think, and when I know you think something different, as long as we respect that, but we kind of talk, that wide divide becomes a little less. And that's the key. And right now we're not in that. So many people are refusing to do that.
I'm going to say something, Chris, and I think maybe you're one of the only people that can understand that small cluster of people that from my fourth wave days. I was on Mad Max Movie Talks last week. I sat down with those guys and I talked to his co-host, his producer, Star Trek fan, immediately met on that level. He likes some of Kurtzman Trek, didn't even get on that hate train. I was just like, yo, what do you think of this? Had a talk, had a great conversation behind the scenes before we even got on that panel with a bunch of people in a hostile chat, and walked away. We're all brothers and sisters out here. Matter of fact, Max, I'm going to have you in volume 2 because he's been around since the beginning, just like us. Doesn't matter what his view is. And frankly, we need a counterpoint in that book. That is what conversation can do. That's what trying to bridge understanding, meeting somebody in the middle, or at least saying, I understand your point, and walking and just leaving it at that. You're absolutely right. The more this is the reason why words like Nazi are being used. Right? There's a very powerful term that invokes a lot of passion. The extremists in our society will use words that inspire these passions, these deep-rooted passions, in order to create emotion that keeps us from critical thinking. It is been the reason for creating these check boxes and putting people in different little areas and segregating them, and then taking gays and further and further and further. Enough on the LGBT. Look, LGBT, that's where I stop. I don't think we need any more. There's always been gender fluid. There's always been transgender. Mm-hmm. There has always been people who look at themselves as non-binary, that new term. You don't even need that new term. There's been societies that have accepted these. There's been societies that have had more than two believe that there are more than two genders. This has been a thing. This is nothing new. There is no originality in the far left. They just like the entertainments that they produce, like Captain Marvel being the first female superhero, Brie Larson on screen, and all that. You know what I mean? It's all about presenting falsehoods and keeping us divided and bait and switch. Let's get them angry about this. Let's poke. All right. And you're like when you're like, if you're around someone who's a narcissist and they poke at you, and then eventually you flip out and they're like, oh my God, see, you're the problem. That's what these people do. And the trick is communication, Chris, overcoming those hurdles, trying to be the bigger person, really, and not entering a conversation in an aggressive manner. Being able to disarm someone who is expressing themselves, no matter what you believe in or not, in a way that allows them to vent and then remain open enough to hear a counterpoint. We need more of those conversations. We need that in order to bring people closer together, or at least have us respect each other's opinions, because we all ain't the same. And why would we all want to be the same? It'd be a boring ass world. But respecting one another for who they are, skin tone, who they love, what they do, doesn't matter. Those things don't matter. They're trivial. The human experience is what matters.
I mean, like I said, nothing is totally static. Only people who are willing to listen to another side and listen to other things are willing to move. Maybe. I'm not saying they will. I'm saying you're at least willing to move, and maybe that's moving your position on something. I mean, like I said, I'm like you. I don't vote one particular way. I don't believe in one particular thing.
Gotcha.
I am very much a person who believes that somewhere in the middle of this whole fucked up world we're in is the answer, and not one person is right. It's just that somewhere in that little middle is it.
Chris, one of the best conversations I ever had, it lasted for 2 hours, was with a person who identified as non-binary, talking about Kibble Smith's New Warriors. I'm going to use their pronouns. They were trashing the shit out of it. That is not us. That is not good. That is not what I look. That is not what I think about. Does not represent me. And one of the coolest things that come out of that conversation, was this. This is what I was told. You can take it for what it is, man. And I don't. So this is a perspective from one individual. I asked them. I said, "Why? What's with the cis thing? Why am I being called cis? That's all new. Like, I don't understand why that's a thing." And this person told me, "Well, we wanted straight people to feel included, so that's why we gave you a term." And I just was like, "What do you say at that point?" All right. Thank you. I said, thank you. What else do you say? I appreciate you including me in this. I don't question.
I will tell you, when that new Warriors came out, what got me is how absolutely this is the microcosm, and we'll go a little bit in the Comicsgate side of things. This is the microcosm of comics right now. And I think I can't remember the exact term that Stan Lee used to say. He said, I didn't want people to go and buy a comic book because they felt the character was them. Like I drew the character and I wrote the character to reach a person or a particular group or type of person. He wrote the character so people could find themselves in the character. You saw traits of the character that you were like, "Oh, that's like me." Yeah. And when the new Warriors came out, that was like the microcosm of, let's just throw up every damn thing that we want people to feel like we're making it for them. It's like, no, that's not what comic books are about. You read Peter Parker and Spider-Man because Peter Parker's the geek photographer in high school, and you remember doing that yourself or whatever. I mean, I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying because some people then with the Peter Parker, I identify with Peter Parker, but I also identify with the part of Spider-Man that believes in truth and justice and all this other stuff. That's what comic books were, and now we've gone the opposite way. It's so outlandish these days. You can't even read this crap. It's like the Gotham High they came out with a while ago. I'm like, what are we doing here? We're totally rewriting who Bruce Wayne is. How can you do this? There's a set rule. This guy is a certain guy. I'm sorry.
Clark Kent's black now and can't fly. By the way,
no, I know.
And before they did that, they bent over the white one and took him with a kryptonite deal.
There's so many things out there that I think that just a little bit of let's think before we do. It's like they jump on this train and then like new warriors, it just blows up in their face, and then they want to look and go like, why?
Well, it didn't work this time. Let's put it in a movie. Doctor Strange, American Chavez. Who the hell wants to? Who is that? Who? I don't know who that is.
I think that there's all this stuff out there, and it's like, think before you do. I always say, I don't care what the character is, what color their skin is in a movie, how they identify. I don't care about that. I just wanted somebody who can act.
Oh,
and I want you to hand a script to a person just because they fit a stereotype. I want you to hand it to that person who fits that stereotype, who can act. There's the key.
I was totally against Jeffrey Wright playing Jim Gordon, and he did an awesome job playing Jim Gordon. I understand what that affects different things. That was my argument in the beginning, like the Batman, like the things like that. I love that. I'm sorry, I love that film. I really do. I had a great time with it. I had fun with it. I understand the issues and the problems with it. But it's just like that. Okay, that race swap didn't need to happen, but you got a good actor in there to play it. Jeffrey Wright, great Jim Gordon. I can't be mad at that. Lawrence Fishburne playing Perry White. That works. Right? Lawrence Fishburne was a great Perry White. It is not that this is one of the main issues is taking characters and changing their gender, changing their race, changing their whatever for the purpose of pissing people off, not creative reasons. And when you could just create a new character, it's easily done. People have been doing it for thousands of years. You can create something based on and make that character anything you want and make it relatable. Don't try to project yourself. A lot of it has to do with projection, man. Projecting their isms on others, inspiring the kind of attack, inspiring people to get on the defensive and then become offensive, create conflict, and then pointing the finger at them people and going, see, the reason you're upset is because you're a bigot. Like there's what reason is that? This is another reason why I'm so supportive of the indie sphere, Chris, because we've been fighting this culture war in entertainments for years now, and I'm sick of it. It's like they're not learning. They fail, and you fail up, and they're all over there doing whatever they do, conditioning our kids together to make them more accessible to perverts or whatever it is that their fetish is, whatever their inner desires, whatever their isms are. They're all stroking each other all the way up to Marvel and Disney, all the way up to Star Wars and Disney, all the way up to where they just keep paying themselves off, paying each other off, just making sure they get them credits, that they get paid for that movie that's going to tank because the comic tank, because the concept tank, because now, but they don't care. So
and as you say, though, in the past, what they've done then, and I think I said this in the past also, is that biggest thing that's changed about Hollywood is that when you used to say a movie sucked, it went around word of mouth really quick in the 80s and the 70s.
Yeah,
and it died. It died a quiet death in hospice, and it was put out of its misery quietly, and humanity,
or it became a cult classic like Rocky Horror.
Or it became a cult classic, one of those two. But now you can't. I don't know if you could have a cult classic these days because nobody has a chance to go back and second look at it because they're getting attacked for saying it was bad. And that's the thing. Hollywood now attacks people for saying it's bad. Oh, you're just a bigot because you didn't like this or this. It's like, wait, I didn't like the new Charlie's Angels because the new Charlie's Angels sucked.
Chris, I'm gonna say something that you might like because I'm predicting this. I'm predicting this. In 15 years, The Last Jedi will be a cult classic.
Well, I hope. But not for the reasons that I think you saying that.
Not for the reasons that no. Honestly, I think it will be a cult classic because there are people who enjoyed that film for what it was, who for whatever reason. I'm not even going to divulge. And I just honestly think that it created such a division, created such a rift that I think it will be. I honestly like 15 years.
I don't know, because I mean, I don't know. I just maybe not. But it's a thing of. I just think that Hollywood never attacked people for saying things about a movie. It's just, oh well, they didn't like it. Move on to the next one. No, not let's green light a sequel just because. Hey, let's do it. So it whatever. I mean, I just don't get it. It's like Batwoman lasted 3 seasons. How? How do you greenlight? I mean, it's like literally.
Batwoman's the worst.
If you need a trash can to throw money in, I'll give you one, and just make sure it comes back to me. I'll dispose of the money the way I see fit. I mean, if that's what they want to do, I mean, it's like, and that's the things I just don't understand.
It's like people wanting to get paid. People, there's, God. Kate Kane could have been a good character. Batwoman could have been a good show. The Arrowverse could have been great. The Arrowverse had a real strong start. I like The Flash had a real strong start. Supergirl, good first season. A couple things I would have changed. It was kind of woke from the beginning, but it went super woke after that first season. These could have been great shows. This could have been a great. I was cheering on the Arrowverse. I wanted to see that be to be something good. But even then, when you're going through when you're going through the transition of old Hollywood to woke Hollywood, Game of Thrones is a perfect example. Great stories, great seasons, all the way up until near the end, and then all of a sudden the writing fell apart. Everything just fell apart. Arya Stark killed the Night King halfway through the last season, the big boss of the whole series. Just the writing, everything went to shit. And it was because the people that were in control are repurposers. They're not creators. And they also had agendas to press. And it's a shame. I like Arya Stark. I love that character. One of my favorite characters. That was Jon Snow's moment. But they wouldn't give it to him because he's a straight white guy. And if you don't realize that, then you're not paying attention to the narratives that are being talked about in Hollywood circles.
All right. We've had a good 52 minutes right now of talking about this. Now it's time for some fun stupidity. I call it the final 5. I'm going to ask you 5 questions. Quick answers. Don't think about it. Just say it.
Okay.
First off, what is your favorite fandom topic to talk about?
Star Wars.
Okay. Who is your favorite band between these two? Beatles and the Rolling Stones.
Beatles.
3 weeks. 3 different people. All Beatles. Yes. I mean, I'll say this again last week. I did too. But the Stones stayed strictly in that blues rock space. Mm-hmm. Beatles expanded and did so much more, and and that's the thing. That's why I love the Beatles. So, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Trek.
And you answered that earlier, but I had it on there already. Paper or plastic?
Paper.
Paper. Okay, very good. And last one, which is better, Blank Man or Pootie Tang?
Blank Man.
Okay, there you go, guys. I know. I mean,
I couldn't think.
Question I had.
That was a tough one.
God damn. Guys, that is what this is. 53 minutes in. We got a few minutes left of just kind of bullshit, but you're working on volume 2, and it's called the Rise of the Rebellion.
Rise of the Rebellion. Yep, Rise of the Rebellion. I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go. Because it was. That I thought was the greatest title. The Rebellion kind of calls back to the rebellion against the Empire. It really had nothing to do with the Welcome to the Rebellion that kind of came after. But it works with that. It works, in the work in that space. And it was a rebellion. It was a grassroots backlash. This is a great time in my history. Frankly, one of the best times in my life, to be honest with you. Got me on YouTube, got me believing in myself, got me involved in a community, got me believing in bettering who I was, forced me to confront different things within myself, that some of which I didn't even know existed, because I'm preaching about positivity and being good to each other and not segregating each other because of these stupid lines. And then here I am in the midst of these, the conservatives and all different types of people that I've really never talked to before. Did I engage? Did I get confronted with certain biases and bigotries and bullshits and backstabbers along the way? Fuck yeah! But overall, it's been a very positive response. It's been a very positive time. It's helped me to grow. and I believe in it. I still believe in it. You know, as much as may have happened, as much as no matter what's going on in the past, I still believe in us. I still believe in all you on the chat. I still believe in our voice collectively, independently, speaking up for ourselves, talking about what we want to love, you know, being who we are, being allowed to be who we are without suffering, disparaging backlash from our media or entertainers. Like, this is what we've done. It's been an amazing journey, guys. It's been an amazing journey for the last 3 years. And for all of us across the board, whether we talk or not. And it's worthy of a documentation.
Yeah, and it's not over yet. I mean, that's the thing. I think every day we bring new people into this, and we see people like, you know, Tim's talk. We were talking about Tim before we went live. You know, Tim's talk. Yeah. You know, you got people like him. You know, there's lots of people. I mean,
you got TW out there. The comic chat. Look at Danny right there. You know,
Danny.
You know,
you got lots of people out there who do this stuff, and I think what we're all here for is to bring in new people and continue it. We try to tell people, hey, come on in, let's do this.
So you know what I love, Chris, and this is the thing that's really helped me to concentrate on the 2018-19 era, because you've been there with me. We've been friends. We've been through this. Guys, Chaos Central was good enough to allow me to break a story. I knew about the Matt Smith thing before anybody else. Chris let me write an article on Chaos Central about it. I mean, we've all worked together for a long time now. What I love, dude, honestly, is that the culture that we tried to create, you know, like you and I, a lot of others, Hanstar, Mary, you know, just, you know, Red Gaze, just the Lethal, bunch of us. We came up behind these YouTubers who were just really trying to fight for their modern myths and build their channels and do their thing. They weren't really trying to create the Fandom Menace as we see it now. They weren't trying to do that. They were just trying to grow their channels. It was those of us that were inspired that came up behind and wanted to support that and wanted to help, you know, create the fandoms of our heroes at the time, you know, or however you call them. We created a culture of rising together. Fandom Collective had a hell of a lot to do with that. Hail to Flipped Out, Rookie Critic, and all of them over there. Eats Up and Kulian, Fallon, Orange Hat, all of them. We created this culture of helping each other, working with one another. If we didn't have the time to help one another, we point them in a direction of somebody who could. And now we see channels that hook up, that people creating thumbnails, people producing, people, you know, clicks coming together, entire lunch tables forming because of a culture that we were blessed enough to impart a little part of our soul into, you know, you and me and everybody else involved in that. That has been my favorite part of whatever legacy I leave behind or whatever that we leave behind is the creation of an idea where we actually rise together and we support each other and we stand up for one another. I love that. I love seeing it.
I think that it's really important that we stay together. And, you know, we fight for these things that we believe. And again, I think the key that we've said several times during this time is even though we're very diverse in how we think among the people that we work with and that we do this stuff with, that we find a common bond that keeps us talking about these things and sharing the opinions, again, even if they're not exactly the same, because we don't all think alike. And I think that's one of the biggest things maybe about this whole world that I noticed is that people are trying to say, let's all think alike. It's like, oh, that's not how people work.
It shouldn't be.
It's maybe get them to understand the way you think, but that doesn't mean I have to change the way I think to do that. So,
Chris, I love this conversation. I wish we didn't have a time constraint, but I've got to go interview Arwen Avalon in less than a minute.
Well, there you go. So guys, you're going to head over there, and I know right in an hour. I say an hour. That's what we do. So we're there, guys. Guys, go check out Stephen Walton. His information is down in the description. It has his Twitter and it has his channel on it. You have a new channel, so if you want to put that in the private chat real quick, I'll put it up.
No, it's on there. It's okay.
Guys, go check him out. Go check him out, and you get that taken care of. And thank you very much, Stephen. I'm gonna let you go so you can get to your thing. Guys, Chris, check out Chaos Central tonight. Yes.
Can't wait to see you on Saturday. This Saturday, Rogue Entertainment, Chris Knight, The Real Review 3000. Come hang out with some OG TFM chat brethren.
There you go. Guys, have a good day.
Please remember to like, subscribe, and never forget to ring that bell. Follow Chris Knight and The Real Review 3000 on these platforms. For email and Patreon, see the description box below. To reach The Ego, use the Twitter handle @TheEgo5150. We would like to thank the generous members of The Real Review 3000. Those members are JJ, aka Sithlord 3827, Anzo of Biggerford Entertainment, Yvette, Sean Stackhouse, Captain Trek, Jesse Ritchie, and Abraham Morales. Thank you for your support and donations that help us at The Real Review 3000 bring you, the viewer, better content. For information on how to become a member, click the join button below.